What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. Horror has been hitting us hard this year, and not really complaining except for the ones that were disappointing. But you know what? As a horror fan myself, at least it's finally more mainstream. I feel like more so in recent years. So, and A24, of course, has definitely been a big pillar in that genre of filmmaking, and this one's no exception. We're talking about a movie kind of like that Iron Lung one, I think, that came out a few months ago, where I feel like it came from like a YouTuber or something like that. There's a little bit more behind this. I tried looking it up, but essentially we're talking about the latest psychological thriller / horror movie, Backrooms, starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, Mark Duplass, directed by Kane Parsons, who is behind a YouTube series that helped create this movie. This is a spoiler-free review, so we're not going to really ruin it for y'all, because this is definitely, I think, if you're a fan of horror movies, this is probably one that should be on your radar. And of course, if you happen to like the movie, or you just like tuning in and watching me and Burn, feel free to give us that thumbs up to show your support. Of course, ring the bell for notifications every time we drop a video, and of course, subscribe just to join our ranting community and whatnot. So, yeah, essentially, the simplest way to put it is that a small business owner realizes that there is a portal, essentially, to an endless maze of back rooms, quote unquote, which are just, empty offices, and it's almost like my opinion, like an abstract painting come to life in a weird way. I didn't know anything like from the first trailer. I remember that came out like some time ago, where it's just literally just kind of going down, like just panning down a bunch of rooms. I had no idea what this movie was going to be about. I don't know if it was going to be good, but I was pleasantly surprised. And the theater I went to opening night was packed. I haven't seen that done for even Obsession. The first time I saw it wasn't that busy, so I think that's really impressive that this one has that type of following. And I haven't heard about I've never seen the YouTube series, and I don't know too much about the stories that inspired this movie. But I think this is definitely one of those ones where it's so out there. It's actually really good that it's out there. Like, I don't get necessarily the metaphors or anything behind it, or at least I don't think I do, but it was just still an enjoyable film. Bern, what did you think about this one? Did you have any expectations? Did you know anything about the YouTube series from Kane Parsons or anything like that going into this?
So the only things I really knew was just the idea of Backrooms, just because it was like one of those viral things that kind of blew up around the early 2020s, like 2019, 2020. Just like, on the internet and stuff. And I know there was like a video game that kind of like took that concept and and made it like a multiplayer thing where you were trying to escape or like trying to get through levels or something. But I had never seen the web series that Kane Parsons himself did. So I was tempted to check them out, all the shorts that he did before watching the movie. But I also, I was just like, let me come into this blind and let me experience this for the first time. And I'm kind of glad I did that, because although like there's an abstractness to this, that's also kind of the fun and the appeal of it. Not really knowing what this little pocket dimension or whatever it is about. It's the unknown that keeps things kind of interesting, and I like that this movie really kind of plays into that. I thought he did a really good job here, and for this to be like his first feature, pretty well executed. I know we're seeing a lot of these YouTuber turned filmmakers lately, like you mentioned, Curry Barker and with Obsession, and this guy here, Kane Parsons, I think does an equally as good job coming into this one and giving us something that we really like haven't seen before, using this sort of like liminal space type horror to make it like, this movie doesn't rely a lot on jump scares. It just really like unnerves you with the way that it's shot, and then the excellent production design, the great cinematography and really good audio work. The sound mixing itself was really cool, and the score too was almost like a sound mix in and of itself too. It's like sort of like what the Hans Zimmer has been doing as of late, where the music itself almost feels like design. Really cool and interesting stuff, and setting up this really creepy atmosphere That's what really stuck with me. It was just like, yeah, the vibes of this movie were really unsettling, and I thought it really got under my skin in that sense. So that was really cool. Where it kind of didn't work for me as much was kind of the characterization a little bit. I thought, despite Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Reinsve being really good in their roles, I think the script itself was just kind of a little bit thin on them. And so on that sense, it left me wanting a little bit more. But everything else sort of like made up for that in making this movie as creepy and as interesting as it was. I thought, for a debut movie, he did a pretty good job with this one.
Yeah, that's been the luck. I mean, him, Curry Barker, and it's great. I'm glad that they're having success on their first films and stuff. Like I said before, I had no idea about what this movie is about. Never heard about the YouTube series or anything like that. I did hear about the game after watching the movie and looking it up. So I was like, okay, dang, this is actually a bigger deal than I thought it was gonna be. I think what got me the most was just the acting. I think Chiwetel and Renata, they just killed it in their roles, even as minimal as they were. It kind of felt right for the story. I feel like they could have expanded on what the backrooms were like. I think we could have seen it would have been nice to see a little bit more of that in the film. But yeah, I think the scariest part was just how things were shot in just these spaces, and then the sound design for certain things. Like when you hear something around a corner, given it's like, why would you be scared of just an empty office space? Because there's nothing in there, really. Nothing, like, there's no weapons, there's no creatures, there's nothing in there. But just hearing stuff in, a different part of the room and stuff, it does give you that, like, oh, that is unnerving, because it's like, oh, I'm not completely alone in here. So I thought that was very well done. It was just such a simplistic movie, but at the same time, I think that's what the horror thing was, because you're kind of expecting something horrifying to see, but half the time you don't really see anything. So that's kind of like the beauty of it. But yeah, like I said, there's really not much to talk about, just because it's literally about a bunch of back rooms and, just this journey into, I guess, the psyches of these characters and what's going through their heads during this discovery, and just kind of what the unknown in this blank. It almost felt like a therapy session, like when they give you a Rorschach test. What do you see when you look at this picture? And it's like, some people may react differently. So I thought, overwhelmingly the audience in my theater was really into it. There were kind of some obnoxious people. I hate when people are like, oh yeah, this and that. It's like, dude, I'm trying to watch it. Shut up, please. Just shut up. But anyways, I sound like an old man when I say it. I don't care. I am getting old. But I think this is definitely different. Now, comparing it to the other horror movies, I think that, like Obsession, this is one of those ones where it's very much out there. These are some of the more recent movies that aren't necessarily in traditional horror, in my opinion, just the way the stories go about them and something like that. So I think that's the beauty of it. Heads up, if you watch this, all the trailers you're going to watch before this movie, all A24. I think that was really interesting going into it, too. It's like, oh, man, we're really just soaking up the A24 vibes going into this movie. But even though I still don't understand, like, I think I kind of get the concept of this movie and what it's trying to say about, corporate America and, like, the back rooms and what they do to people. I'm still like, I don't get it, but I don't care. It was just so fun and such a crazy movie. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. I definitely recommend this. It is a little on the artsy side, so if you want to watch a more simple horror story, maybe something like Obsession or Bone Temple, or I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but this is definitely out there, but I think in a really good way. So highly recommend it if you want to watch it. If not, then wait till a $5 Tuesday or something. But it was a lot of fun regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it is really cool seeing, this new generation of horror filmmakers and what their tendencies are. And I like how they're leaning into these more abstract, these more like these weird ideas, and also not relying too heavily on jump scares. They're really relying on the atmosphere and on the and on things that don't feel cheap. And I really like that we're seeing that from this new batch of filmmakers. And yeah, I think Kane Parsons is definitely one to keep an eye on with his like whatever he does next. Like, if he's going to continue with these like backrooms things, since this is kind of what he's been doing for since he's like been 16 years old. Again, really young guy, so it's cool to see this person get this big opportunity and make this of what it is. Like it succeeded in my opinion, and getting someone like me who's not really aware of this stuff interested in this like this weird little like world that we're looking at. So yeah, I mean, I think he thought he did a great job. As I mentioned, the cinematography was great, the production design was amazing, really took me by surprise there. So yeah, I mean, as a debut movie, you can't really do a lot better than this. I think he did a really good job here, and as someone who's new to this world, I'm a fan now. So yeah, definitely looking forward to what he does next. So this one's for me, it's going to be a 4 out of 5 as well. And yeah, what can I say? It's been a really cool year for horror so far.
100%, my dude, 100%. And honestly, I think the YouTubers are also putting out something. I think they're definitely kind of crushing Hollywood's like thing of like, no, you have to have big stars, big budgets to make things work. And it's like, no, some of these horror movies this year have been like pretty decently budgeted, almost lower than what you would expect for a movie like this, and they're killing it. So, hats off to them. Keep up the good work, and they just know how to maximize what they know how to work with what they got. So, yeah, 4 out of 5 for both me and Bern. We definitely recommend this one. It's gonna be a little on the weird side, very abstract art house stuff, but it's still so much fun. I kind of wouldn't mind watching this again, to be honest, just because it's so weird, and I want to see if I missed anything the last time with some of the rooms and stuff. But yeah, until next time, everybody, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody, be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.